God has placed us, it seeks to attract and draw people in to their church. There's a slight difference in that. It aligns not to the mission of God, but rather it's trying to align God with our mission. Right? We're saying here, come and see. God, come and see what we are doing. We're inviting God to what we are doing. And so moving a church from a maintenance to a missional church will require change on many different levels. It's going to be, and it require a little bit, if not a little bit more, courage, and it also might get a little uncomfortable. But ultimately, I am thankful for Highfield Baptist Church because I believe that many of you guys have, and our leadership have, recognized the need to embrace this urgency and this importance for move from maintenance to becoming a missional church. So where do we begin? How do we step foot and set out on this journey to become a missional church as Highfield Baptist Church? I think no better way to start than the words of Jesus himself. Matthew chapter 28. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18. That's verse very familiar to us. It's the Great Commission. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, and it says this, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.'" First of all, Jesus said, "Go." There wasn't any conditional attachment into that commandment. He didn't say, "Bring into the church and minister unto them," but he said to go and to make disciples, to go and to train, to baptize, to go and to minister, right? And also, Jesus didn't say, "Go if you really want to," but it's an imperative statement, and it's a command that we ought to go. He said, "Go." And if we look at the life of Christ, he shows us and he teaches us just to do that. He doesn't just leave us with this commandment. Jesus went to the people. He went to where he was needed. And I believe that God wants Highfield to become a missional church, a church where it is our mission to go and to serve our community. Now, if you've paid attention, I intentionally did not use the word to reach out or outreach. Those are good terms. Yes, it's good, but there's intentional reason why I didn't use the term outreach or to reach out. Because the reality is, perhaps a lot more people in our community than not really don't like Christians or their church. I might even say some might be hateful towards Christians and the church. And rather, they would never, in their lifetime, would never set foot into the church, no matter how attractive we might be, no matter how great our program is, or no matter how good-looking the pastor is, they'll never step foot in the church. And honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, and Christianity as a broad whole, they have very good reasons not to not like the church, or even to hate the Christians that are in it. And so the common idea of evangelism is this idea of inviting others to come and be like us. And once they do that, okay, now you could be a part of our fold. That's a typical model of reaching out into the community with this type of a hook. By that I mean it's something that we do for others. We hold an event, and then we hit them with the need for the gospel to accept Christ. We kind of hit them over the head with the gospel. It's a bait and switch, You see, we invite them, we tell them this is something we're doing, something attractional, and then we kind of give them the gospel. And, that's not technically how we ought to operate, because that's not how Jesus operated. Of course, he did see the need, and there is a need for the gospel for the people. But the way Jesus operated, his love was and is always unconditional. He served and he loved regardless of the outcome. Now, I don't want anyone here to to think that I'm saying that we shouldn't share the gospel. That's not what I'm saying. Please don't misquote me. Of course, we want and we need the opportunity to share the gospel, and we must share the gospel. But I think there is a better way for us to impact our community than the way most churches would be doing or attempted to do so in the past. It will involve a different way of doing church altogether, or perhaps not in the way we would think, but rather in the way that Jesus would have. It's Jesus' way to do church. In 2023, Barnard Research is a big research firm that handles a lot of faith-related research. They did a survey on how the general American public viewed Christianity. And so they had a whole list of different criterias, and the question was, how positive do you feel between these type of questions that they have? And so one of the key concluding founding was that openness to Jesus isn't the problem, but the problem is the church. Because there was a split, right? People seemed to like Jesus, but there was a split, a dichotomy in their opinion. And so here's one of the quotes. It says, when asked the Americans, the survey, they said whether they have a positive or a negative opinion of Jesus, 7 out of 10, that's 70%, said that they view Jesus positively, right? That's good. Majority of the people view Jesus positively. Whereas on the other side, flip side, when they asked the same question, they only found that 40%, 4 out of 10, would say that they would view the church in their community positively. So we here see the split, right? They like Christ, but they don't like his church. David Kinnaman, the CEO of Barna Group, who's done this research, he said this: the work of Christian is to embody Jesus, full of truth and grace, and to reflect his image in all that we say and do. But the data shows that we too often fall short. Openness to Jesus isn't the problem, the church is. And so Christ loved people. And he loved them where they were and how they were. And people responded to his love. And there can be no better model for us than for Christ himself, as he was clearly being missional. And so we need a new paradigm, a new way of thinking. Could you imagine the impact that the church would have, impact that Highfield would have if we were to serve like Jesus did? Right? We served and loved the community unconditionally, that there was no other agenda than to serve and to love, that there was no catch. Right? The same type of unconditional love that Jesus had for his communities, the sinners, the tax collectors, the marginalized, the widows, the orphans, the unclean, the